On the Chariot card, we could see that his cape was comprised out of both red and white colours, suggesting the movement of manifesting his will, underpinned by his true will in Thelemic terms. The next card, that of Adjustment, carries on this theme and expands upon the suggestions of free will and of true will. This is the first time that we have seen quite stark differences between the Rider-Waite card and the Thoth card, with the Rider-Waite deck actually being called Justice and showing a much more authoritarian and royal looking design than what Aleister Crowley's images suggest. The Rider-Waite Justice card says that a justice is about to happen, his sword is in the air, he is making his decision, and he holds within his hands the scales of justice. This card implies that one's destiny hangs in the balance of a legal implication and of the courts of law in very material and human terms. The Thoth Adjustment card, on the other hand, although still speaking of a justice, implies it much more in a karmic way, and therefore in a much more subtle and metaphysical way. The card has, as many Thoth cards do, a duality and a balance to it, suggesting that the judgment has already been made and the manifestation, the world after the judgment, is beginning to manifest. Over on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, the Adjustment card occupies the path of between Geberah and Tifereth, which is fitting for the actual card because Geberah could be taken in this regard to be the destructive aspect of man, and Tifereth could be the heart of man, and so we have that balance there yet again, instead of being suggested in the scales, being suggested in the Sephiroth of the Tree of Life. And so what the symbols here are suggesting is that if we follow our true will, we would bring order into the chaos of the universe. Following one's true will in Thelema is akin to following one's life's calling. It's like when people say they always felt drawn towards a particular career, or they felt fascinated by specific topics even from an extremely young age when they would have no so-called logical reason to do so. It is the essence of the soul's purpose, and although circumstances and times change along with us, you can often trace this calling, this glimpsing of a purpose right back to your extremely early childhood. And so what this is suggesting is that in order to discover and therefore follow our true will, we have to place our consciousness at the position of the heart, Tifereth, on the Tree of Life. And so we have to come down from the destructive nature of Geberah, the destructive, chaotic way of the physical world, and adjust ourselves into that position of the heart. Down at the bottom of the card, we can see yet again our Hebrew character, and this time it's associated with the Hebrew letter Lamed, which oddly enough means ox goad. Now, the goad in Hebrew cultures was a farming tool which was used to guide livestock, specifically oxen, hence the term ox goad. It could be used to help round up the cattle and put them into their pastures, or to guide them when they are pulling a plough or a cart across the land. It's basically a long pointed stick, which in modern terms could be approximated to be a cattle prod. Metaphysically, this can represent, of course, a type of restriction. The ox pulling the plough is restricted in which way it can go, and if it tries to veer off the path, then the shepherd would use the ox goad to adjust its path. We can also see down at the bottom of the card the astrological attribution, which here, of course, is going to be Libra. Libra, the scales, which is, of course, an energy of balance and equilibrium. It can be all about karmic cause and effect. It can be about bringing things in our life into a type of balance, or in very basic terms, weighing up the pros and cons of something before you decide which way to go. And so this is quite obviously the entire essence of Justice, which is the Rider-Waite card, and Adjustment here on the Thoth Tarot. Now, there is an association between this card and the first card of the Fool, which we will come to in symbolism later, but just sticking with the Hebrew character for a moment, the Fool's Hebrew character was Aleph, and of course we have here Lamed. This can be another name for Aleister Crowley's famous book, The Book of the Law, which was Liber Al, A-L. Of course, the main theme of the Book of the Law is love is the law, love under will. And with respect to the card that we're looking at here, it's saying that the love, the universal love, the spiritual light of Kether, is in everything. It's the reconciliation of opposites, the microcosm and macrocosm. It's the balancing of the world of that karma. We can see more of the connection of the Fool with adjustment by having a look at the actual costume of the character on the card, which is wearing a carnival-style mask and a checkered diamond pattern on their costume, which brings us back to the world of the Harlequin, the world of the trickster and the fool, which is where the tarot story begins, this light-hearted little servant of whom is foolishly, which of course simply means walking in ignorance, into the universe, and in physical terms is often the butt of jokes. He is a clown and he pursues things and learns along his way, often with quite dramatic consequences. The character is holding a sword. The sword is a phallic symbol, is here between the legs of the rather feminine looking image on the actual card. This, of course, is a very fertile symbol, and it suggests that this coming together of masculine and female duality is often brought on by that force of love, and therefore represents a manifestation through that force. The overarching symbology of the card, however, could be seen as more feminine than the previous card, as could be suggested by the green colours which are seen on it, which could symbolise that the card is ruled by the planet Venus. Now you can see on the actual scales within the card the letters for Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. These are balanced perfectly within the scales and are actually connected at the top of her crown, suggesting that they are related to the world of consciousness. And so here they symbolise all the possibilities that are open to us to manifest within the world. There is a beginning and an ending of our existence in these physical bodies, and there is a beginning and ending of possibilities therefore to manifest within this world. And so it's saying choose your manifestations wisely and follow that calling of which you've had. Carpe diem, seize the day. The chains which are connected to this, and these black chains that you can see around the card, suggest the element of Saturn in astrological terms, and Saturn being a rather heavy and dark and restrictive planetary force means that following one's true will in order to bring about this adjustment and harmony will be rather difficult at times, and so you will need to focus and you will need to work on it. It's not going to be always without its troubles. On the card are these rather large blue and green spheres. These are thought to be a rather simple symbology here on the card, simply suggesting a balance of masculine and feminine energies, which is something that we've seen on previous cards already. Of more interest and much more esoteric is the curtain of which she is standing in front of, which is comprised out of diamonds, and in fact there are diamond patterns all over the card. The first and most simplest way of interpreting these is that they are the diamond of Kether, the pure spiritual light, the purity of being, that love. And this is also seen back on the Fool card yet again, which brings home once more the connection between these two cards. In more metaphysical terms, these are suggestive of the Vesica Piscis, a type of sacred geometry and mathematical shape, which is formed by two spheres or circles of the same radius, which intersect in a way where their centre lies on the perimeter of the other. And of course you could create this Vesica Piscis from the discs of masculine and feminine energy that we've seen on the card. This is connected with fertility, of birth, and of a circle of life, and therefore brings us back to the idea of karma within the card. And so they represent another liminal state, this time in physical terms, represented by the hymen, and the Vesica Piscis image, of course, shows up in this type of shape all over the world, of which is broken when the daughter becomes the mother, and so this is a circle of life. The mother gives birth to the daughter becomes the mother, of whom gives birth to the daughter, and so on, and the soul is manifested into this world with its sole purpose, its true will, which is to be followed and is to go through this journey from the Fool. It starts off as the Fool and steps forth into the world in order to learn of these great mysteries. In more simple terms, if you are to draw this card in your tarot reading, it can mean see what's good for us and what's not good for us, weigh up the pros and cons and let go of the stuff that's no good. It can mean to confront yourself with the fact that there are various possibilities and choices that you can make, and that there may also be limitations to those choices and possibilities. And of course, it can make us think about the consequences of our actions, that suggestion of karma, which runs deeply throughout the card. All our actions and decisions in life have consequences, and we have to live with the manifestation of those consequences. And so it's asking us to have a look at this happening both within our personal lives and also, as always with all tarot cards, within the macrocosm, within the entire universe as well.